Hello everyone and welcome along to your TII immediate post-match reaction to Hearts 0, Rangers 1 at Tynecastle. A huge win for Rangers in Edinburgh this evening. My name's Craig Dennett and I'm your host as we look back over what was a difficult watch, I think it's fair to say, and that's maybe been a bit kind as well. And I'm joined by JB. How did you find that, JB?
Yeah, that was a bit of an emotional roller coaster, wasn't it? I think it was, as I know we'll get into it, but it was great to see us create so many chances because I know we've kind of lacked that in some recent games, but to not take them, and then as I know we'll get to, as the game went on, it just had that typical Rangers feeling that we've felt for the last 10 years or so. That we kind of know what's coming, but got it over the line, 3 points in the bag and back down the road. So I'd have took that at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in that last 20 minutes, I had about 40 text messages from different Rangers fans saying, we know what's coming here, and thankfully it didn't arrive, but we definitely all thought the same thing. So we've all seen that movie play out before as well. So we'll just touch on some of the key points that happened in the game before we get on to some of the more exciting moments. Tom Lawrence went off injured in the first 16 minutes or so. He's came back in the last couple of weeks and he's looked really good. Luke Clement was complimenting him and the way he played in that, I guess, a number 8 position in the midfield. It's not his natural position, obviously, but Clement was impressed with how he played at the weekend against St Mirren. He came in and he started off well, I thought, today, and then it just seemed to be he went down with a tweak in his calf, potentially. There was no one really around him. It wasn't a tackle or anything like that. It's frustrating for us as fans, and it must be frustrating for Tom Lawrence as well, JB.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, he's been really just been, again, how many of them, but just really unlucky. I think he was one that we were really excited about. Obviously, when he signed was start of last season.
Yeah.
Feels as almost everything's kind of merged into one. But yeah, starts the start last season, and you've seen what he had in pre-season. I think the West Ham game particularly was immense. And then you thought, right, he's going to kick on, and then he had scored a cracker against, it was a Hibs away, and he was involved in so much that we did well at the start of last season. Then obviously that ridiculous injury, 4 minutes added on time, and we still had substitutes. Managed to get it in, and yeah, and then he's come back and he's huffed and puffed, hasn't he? He's been in and out. You can see what he's got. I actually thought today he started a bit. I thought he was quite wasteful to start with, but I don't know whether the intention was to try and get that Hearts back four turned quickly, because he tried a few things early on, one to McCausland and one to Seema, that didn't go anywhere, but it was almost like one touch passes without looking. But then as he kind of started to settle into the game, you could see he's starting to get his foot on the ball and drive. He gives us that midfield presence that we haven't got, and we desperately need at this level. Somebody that can pick the ball up, beat a man in the middle of the park, can go right or can go left. And he is, as much as we haven't seen it since he's been back in, he will be a goal threat. But again, I dare say it them words, when he's fit. The 3 words that Rangers fans say, well, if it's not penalty to Rangers, it's when he's fit. But no, he's just a frustrating one for him, the player. Again, as you touched on there, Craig, we talk about it as fans and say how frustrated we are. What must it be like for him? I mean, you might say, well, yeah, but he's picking the salary up, but it's his career, it's his livelihood, it's his adrenaline rushes that he gets every time he crosses that white line. So, yeah, disappointing for him. Hopefully not too bad, and hopefully it's more precaution as opposed to he's actually any bad damage.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We've obviously got a huge December ahead of us. Made a good start, obviously home to St Mirren and then away at Tynecastle, picking up 6 points from the first 2 games. We just need to keep the foot on the gas all the way through to the winter break at the turn of the year. So you spoke a wee bit about McCausland there and Seema. I was really impressed by Luke Clement's start lineup, to be honest, and the fact it was more consistent. We've moaned time after time about how much chopping and changing there's been to the starting lineup, and we never get the same starting lineup twice. We pretty much did, outside of Barisic's dropping out because he was injured, and then Danilo coming in for Dessers, which I think was expected. I thought the width actually worked really well for us, and it was really, it was Osima obviously played such a vital role in that. The only goal of the game, the goal we scored after 34 minutes. It was some nice interplay as well between Tav and McCausland, I think it was, down the right hand side, and then you couldn't pick a better through ball from James Tavernier to someone like Sima who has that pace, and then Cam, as you like, finish. He's really come on to a game ever since some people have started to focus on how tired he is after having a kid. He seems to have started scoring goals, and that was another really, really good and really cool finish from Sima, and it just shows the value that he's bringing to the team now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Rangers must have hired a nanny or something to, because I know he did say in his post-match interview that Rangers, the club, have been really helpful in terms of helping them out and helping the new baby settle. So I think hopefully there's a nanny there to allow him to get some sleep in the spare room. But yeah, I thought the wingers, you could just see that was going to be our kind of main outlet. I thought between them two and Cadwell, we just looked really dangerous every time we were going forward. We haven't had that for probably a number of years, to be fair, where you've gone, right, there's decent options on both sides. I still don't think we're seeing the best of Seema until we kind of give them almost like not saying a number 9 position, but if we get into a position where we can play with 2 9s, I think he's got really good movement and his pace and power. Once he gets in behind, they're not catching him. But I do wonder maybe if he's maybe because he's not coming from a static position, does that suit him? Because you think about a lot of the goals he scored when he's ran through, he's come in from the left and then a really good composed finish. He scored something quite similar against Hibs at home. Obviously, went at the other side of the goal. He went for that one at Clement's first game. But he actually is one of the few players that when he goes one-on-one, you fancy him. Yeah. The Dessers went one-on-one on Sunday, and nobody got off the seat. It was just like, oh, right, we might get a corner, I'm starting to worry Danilo's falling into that trap.
I think I had that thought as well, more so last week when we were playing Aris, more than anything else. I had that fear about Danilo started to creep in. I think Danilo's movement is light years beyond what Desser's movement is. So obviously, different players, and I think Danilo offers something a bit different in terms of dragging defenders. Even for the goal tonight, he pulled in short, which allowed Sima to go long, which was really good movement. But he should have made it 2-0 right on half time. He should have taken it first time rather than taking the touch. There was countless. He then had the open goal miss pretty much at the start of the second half as well. And you kind of think, how do we end up paying £6 million for a striker that can't find the back of the net? He made such a good start as well for us, and he just seems to, since the last international break, have gone off the boil a little bit, and it's a growing concern for me. We kind of just need to get to January and hope that we can add to that striking pool. I think a left back and a striker are the two positions that we heard that Rangers are kind of interested in and are looking at. A striker for me is a definite one for there. We need to add extra firepower. The reason Desser started at the weekend was obviously to try and manage Danilo's minutes. I think as we go through this busy month, but even when Danilo's on the park, he's not looking like a deadly finisher every single game. And if we're going to make any sort of fist of a title challenge this year, we badly need one in January.
Yeah, 100%. We do, especially domestically. Do you know what I mean? We don't necessarily. I think Danilo will be fine when I dare say the big games. You could argue tonight was a big game, but in the likes of the Old Firm, big games in Europe, I think he'll be there. Do you know what I mean? He'll be there or thereabouts. He's got the ability to create something for himself. His hold-up play was really good tonight at times, I thought. He's got a cracking first touch and can bring players into play. But we're just crying out for I dare say we're crying out for the Domain Defoe, and that's what I thought we were getting with him. I thought he was going to be this guy that mightn't do a lot during the game, but you know what? He'll score 10 tap-ins. We might only get one chance, but he'll take it. But that doesn't seem to be the type of player he is. Now, I was blaming the mask the last few weeks. I would say maybe that peripheral vision is just slightly out, when he's trying to take these chances. So when the mask was off today, I thought, right, here we go. Danilo, hat-trick incoming. I just didn't realise it was going to be a hat-trick of chances. But fair. But yeah, it's one of them. If we're winning games and guys like him aren't scoring, then it's all right. But it's when you start to drop points, you start to go, nah, this ain't happening type of thing. But for the fact that he works so hard and he is offering something, yeah, we'll stick with him. But he's yeah, it is worrying that we're not being as confident when he goes through one-on-one. I think it's where he doesn't help himself, because as you touched on there, his movement's so good. He's always in so much space.
Yeah.
So but every chance just looks like an absolute tap-in. So it's just quite frustrating. But we'll if we're winning, we'll just keep smiling through it and hope that he comes good.
Absolutely, he's obviously getting the focus because he's our main striker, but he wasn't the only one that missed chances tonight. We, as a team, missed countless opportunities. Sima missed a few, despite scoring. Ridvan Yilmaz had a couple where he popped up, and I think actually it was a real positive from Yilmaz in terms of getting into those positions, because they're not positions you would see Borna Barisic in. It just shows the kind of difference in style of play that they have, and what Yilmaz can offer in comparison to Borna Barisic. And there were a few others in there as well. I guess it's a good thing we're creating these chances, even in games where I don't think we played particularly well tonight. I don't think we ever really got going at any point. It was kind of an arduous performance, I think it's fair to say, and we were kind of huffing and puffing a bit, but never quite getting into the flow of anything. But we still created countless chances. I know Michael Beale liked to say we had 20 plus shots, but I think we did have 20 plus shots again tonight, and some of them were really clear cut. So that's obviously a good thing. But how do we find that clinical edge? How do we find that ability to just find the back of the net? It's one of those ones where people say someone's going to get a doing soon from us, because everything's going to click in the one game. But it's frustrating in games like this when we should have had at least the second goal, if not more than that, and killed the game off, and yet we're hiding behind the couch for the last 15-20 minutes trying to see out a 1-0 win.
Yeah, I think if we're doing that though, the players have got to be doing that upstairs, especially the players that have repeatedly lost big games, lost big moments. So you just wonder whether there's a part of them that just shrinks that little bit, which just takes your eye off the ball slightly. Because if you watch some of these players, in the warm-ups when the pressure's off, they're putting, Jack Butland can't get near any of the shots in the warm-up. Do you know what I mean? And he's like a bit of an Alan McGregor type that even if it's in the warm-up, he's not wanting to concede, and he can't get near them. We're that clinical. But then as soon as that whistle goes and then there's a big chance, it's just, oh God, here we go again. I know we spoke about it, but it was around the 68th minute. Crocker says, will they pay the price for not taking these chances? And you're like, oh, that's the headline tomorrow, innit? It'll be interesting to see, not that I'm a massive XG lover, but it'll be interesting to see what the XG was today. I imagine it's probably going to be 3, 4, maybe even 5. I actually think, you said that you potentially didn't play that well. I think it's one of them games that if you watch it back with the pressure off, it'll actually be a really good performance. Do you know what I mean? And when we say, obviously, that Hearts put pressure on, it was kind of self-driven just because we got deeper. Butland had a couple of saves to make, but probably didn't make a save that you wouldn't expect them to make, or any decent keeper. So I think we kind of kept I thought the back four played reasonably well. I thought Tav, again, just looked a little bit leggy, quite poor in possession, especially early on. But these guys, we're going to the well quite a lot with them. So you think of Tavernier, he's repeatedly there. I'd like to, but again, that's because we're not putting games to bed. I mean, if that's 2-3-0 at half time, you can all of a sudden go, right, we'll take Tavernier off, we'll put Sterling on it right back. We can do things, but we're just not getting ourselves in the position that we can have a look at making 3 or 4 changes and seeing how we go, and then giving other players minutes and trying to go, right, go near your jersey. We're just having to play to the 93rd, 95th minute
But why do you think, JB, that we did drop so deep? Do you think it is just a mentality thing, or do you think it's something else? It didn't seem like an instruction from Clement in any way. It did seem like we just regressed and regressed and regressed.
Yeah. I mean, there's that piece about playing away from home and as well. Do you know what I mean? The Hearts players are probably given an extra 10%. I mean, the Hearts players actually, I thought they were really poor. And their players probably, if they've dropped 10% for 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the second half, they know they're just going to go for that last 5-10 minutes and just absolutely give it their all. And that's what it kind of felt like. Their players looked done in. You know, when the balls went out for corners and throw-ins, you could see them blowing for breaths. And I thought some of the Rangers players showed fantastic energy towards the end. I thought Cantwell, he got us out of, not saying he got us out of trouble, but the way he carried the ball 3 or 4 times in that last 20 odd minutes was sensational. I thought him and McCausland's energy levels were superb. So, I think a mix, I think, of a little bit of mentality, a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of heart pressure, and also I think because we know that we've got so much energy and pace up to it, certainly within that front three, there is that thing as well, if they come at us, we'll just go and get them on the break. And we did on 3 or 4 occasions. We just didn't put it to bed, did we? So
yeah, absolutely. But I'll close off. I was going to close off by saying how big a 3 points is that for Rangers. But before we come to that, just a word for John Lundstrom. I thought he was particularly good tonight. Once again, I think since Philippe Clement's come in, and he's given him that responsibility in the middle of the park by himself in quite a lot of games. He's really taken that to heart, and he seems to be playing the way that John Lundstrom likes to play. I think it's fair to say. Potentially Beale moved him outside or was asking him to do some different stuff, but he's really come onto a game since Clement's been there, and I thought tonight was another really good performance from Lundstrom.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. He's definitely stepped up. I think he's had to. Do you know what I mean? I think it's had a bit of a sink or swim moment within his Rangers career. One thing's for certain, John Lundstrom his next move won't be to a Glasgow Rangers stature club. I think he'll probably know that himself. We obviously know that he loves being there. He does look as if he gives it all. I think the only time where he probably gets let down is just that moments of concentration, because he's not a natural 6. If a centre half rolls a ball to him, doesn't anticipate that player's going to come in behind. I think there was one with about 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, that was rolled into him, and I don't know if the camera actually caught who passed him it, but he got caught in possession just off the hop, and you're thinking, part of me thinks, why are we giving it to him in that position with a player on his back? But 2, just don't take any risks and maybe quite sensible. Very similar to the St Mirren one on Sunday, first half, just a little bit of lax play at the edge of the box, and if you're up against quality, they'll punish you. But domestically, we're not seeing that. But what was quite impressed with him, there was a few times you could see him. He was roaring the lads on, coordinating, talking, driving, good energy. Again, got us carried the ball really well up the pitch at times. So really pleased with kind of where he's at.
Yeah, excellent. And just to round off, that's very. I don't know what the word is. This shorter version of the immediate post-match reaction. Just to round us off, how big a 3 points is that for Rangers in the context of not only the month of December but also the season itself? Do you think?
Yeah, I think that this was the one that we can't. I mean, when we had the run after the international break, we kind of looked at we looked at Aberdeen away and we looked at Hearts away. And if you think we've been the better team in all of them games, and we've probably deserved the win both times. But again, that lack of clinicalness. So if we can ride through this period and we can get into that game against them, and just see what happens on that one-off game, I can't see this Rangers team being blown apart by them. That would be my biggest fear going into that. I'd like to think there's a bit of a mentality shift with this manager, and if we can go into that, put pressure on them, and see where that takes us, it'll definitely set us up going into the winter break. Get refreshed, get some. Probably, I imagine there'll probably be a little bit of winter sun for them at some point, and get that Copenhagen fixture out the way, get the cup game, and then I look to see where we go for the second half of the season, because it's on. Do you know what I mean? There's a title fight there. My only concern is, because we're not putting games to bed, that could actually cost us in the long term, both from a players getting a rest perspective and goal difference. That could be it is the difference of an extra point, because it is going to go. If we're going to win it, we're going to win it by 1 point, 2 points. We're not going to win this by 5, 6, 7 points. So that extra, all of these extra goals, the ability to be able to rotate your squad, it's going to be night and day. And unfortunately, they're putting themselves in positions week after, quite a lot, where they'll be 2-3-0 up and they'll make 2 changes at half time. I think they took the Carter Vickers off at half time, for example, because they were winning comfortably. That should be us. That's the position we need to be getting in. And then that way we can utilise, because we've actually got a good squad. Do you know, like when everybody's fit and available, there's them words again. But it's we need to get to a position that we're offering that. I've got to say though, Clement was getting the sack when Lammers tried to flick that header on the last minute of play. McCausland pinged a 50-yard ball to him. He headed it into the space where McCausland would have had to have ran 70 yards. And he just walked around with his hands in the air. And I'm thinking, if these score from this, Clement, you're done.
Well, to be honest, I was exactly like that when James Tavernier tried to shoot from that free kick in stoppage time. I was like, what are you doing? Just take it to the corner. But we got there in the end, and as difficult as it was to watch us survive that last 25 minutes or so, we did in fact get the clean sheet, and it was a really important 3 points for Rangers. And it's on to Saturday now at home to Dundee, and hopefully another 3 points in the bag. Thank you very much for joining me, JB, as always. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Plenty of content coming up from us over the next few days. I'm back Thursday night, tomorrow night, as I record this, live at 8:30 on our YouTube channel. A bit of a wider review of tonight's game against Hearts, and then look ahead to the Dundee game, and then Kyle and Tommy are live from Ibrox on Saturday afternoon as we take on Dundee, as I mentioned. So thanks very much, everyone, for listening, and until next time, goodbye.